Bhante Kamalasri, welcome. Okay, dear venerable monks and nuns, dear friends in Dhamma, let us begin our bi-weekly Sutta discussion by paying respect to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I pay my respect and homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Dear friends in Dhamma, very good evening to all of you from Toronto, Canada. And I would like to bring the Dhamma greetings to all of you. So today we are about to begin our bi-weekly Sutra discussion. And I would like to introduce all of you our venerable monks and nuns, very educated, learned Buddhist monks and nuns who show a great interest in this bi-weekly Sutra discussion, who make a huge contribution in explaining some key issues of Dhamma issues, bringing more clarifications. So today we are very fortunate and privileged to have Bhante Uparatana from Washington, D.C. And we have Venerable Juchen, the Mahayana Buddhist nun, but we don't say Mahayana, but sometimes people must be wondering as to how come she doesn't look like you all. But Venerable Juchen is joining us from Singapore, and she used to be here with us. We had the great privilege of organizing our annual Vesak festival. And we have Bhante Jinananda from Ottawa, Canada. And we have Bhante Vangsananda joining us from Seattle, Washington State, USA. We have Bhante Pemaratana joining us from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. We have Bhante Kusala joining from here, from Toronto at our temple. And then we have Bhante Kamalasri joining us from Minnesota. And we have Bhante Sumana. Actually, he is visiting Canada from Sri Lanka. And Bhante Sumana, if possible, if you like, please have your camera on so that people could see you. So I would like to respectfully welcome all of you to our bi-weekly Sutra discussion. I also would like to welcome all our friends who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube Live. And I know you all look forward to this bi-weekly Sutra discussion with the Buddhist monks and nuns. Because you have watched us previously, you know what we are talking about, discussing, and you know that it's of great benefit to you. And I would like to kindly ask you to share this program in your social media timelines, in the Facebook and YouTube or any other social media, as for the greater benefit of people, your friends, because sharing Dhamma is a way of giving a gift of Dhamma to the people for the happiness and benefit of the many. So, dear friends, today we have a new topic, and the question is, what determines the rebirth in the various planes of existence? This is a question asked by a friend who is very keen in this discussion, and because he would like to learn from all the venerable monks and nuns. And so what Buddha said about the rebirth, I know people are, especially in the Western world, in the Judeo-Christian tradition, because they don't talk about this concept, but in the Eastern spiritual tradition, we talk about samsara, rebirth, reincarnation, or even we said there's no soul, and etc., etc. So now people have a concern like after death, and where are we going to? And what would determine our rebirth in particular plane of existence, or is there another bhava or existence? These are the questions people have, and I think as we all know, I think all these learned Buddhist monks and nuns read about the Salayaka Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. And I think Salayaka Sutta has maybe a solution to this question, an answer to this question. So this is going to be an open discussion. I would like to respectfully invite our learned Buddhist monks and nuns to enlighten us on this topic. And if you would like to say something or add your words of wisdom into this discussion, you could raise your hand, and I will invite you to present your ideas. So, but let me start with Bhante Jinananda. Bhante Jinananda, can you just tell us something about the Salayaka Sutta? Oh.
Thank you very much, Bhante Sannapala, for having this session for us to understand the important aspect of our life. As you suggested, this unfolds, in my view, a very good understanding about the Buddha's teaching. The Salayaka Sutta is the Sutta number 41 of the Middle End Discourses of the Buddha. The Sutta is named by that name because of the place it was delivered and also the people who participated in the discourse. If I go into the summarized version of the discourse, it would be really benefited for everyone because it's a long sutta. Relatively, it's a long sutta, though it is in the Middle End Discourses of the Buddha. When the Buddha was traveling through the country called Kosalan with a large sangha of bhikkhus, Buddha and those monks eventually arrived in a place called Sala. Then the village consists of Brahmin, one of the clans at the time of the Buddha, and these people were called Sala, so Brahmin from Salayaka, and also householders. So these people came to know that the Buddha came to their village. One of the things we should understand here is that wherever the Buddha went for missionary works, his reputation was one of the key things. Even the people in this village came to know about the Buddha well before the Buddha arrived with the monks to the village, so that they recognized the Buddha by the famous stanza Itipiso Bhagava and so forth. So that's mean that the Buddha's message had been traveling through villages, cities, including this Sala. So people came to know about the Buddha and also about his teaching and also the followers, so that they decided to go to the Buddha and get some advice, spiritual advice, and ask some questions about something they were looking for. So that is what we find in the first half of the discourse. When we go into the middle of the discourse, the interesting questions come. That is, let me read that part from the discourse. What is the cause and condition why some beings here on the dissolution of the body after death reappear in the state of deprivation, in unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell? The simple questions these people ask is the reason why some beings reappear in unhappy destination after death, because people in general had this understanding that there is a life after death, because the Brahmanism and other teachings mainly were talking about the life after death, except materialistic. Many people believe that. So the simple question again they asked was, why some people reappear in hell or in animal kingdom, in ghost realm after that? What is the reason? And the other questions they asked immediately after that, while some people are going to reborn in unhappy places, why some other people get rebirth in happy destination like human existence or divine existence? These are the two main questions the people in the village Sala asked from the Buddha. So we can find in the discourse that Buddha gave reasons for this, and 70% or 80% of the sutta covers these answers given by the Buddha. So basically, Buddha talks about the reasons for being to reborn in happy places, and also reasons for being to reborn in unhappy places. So actually, the teaching the Buddha unfold is very clear, because one reason Buddha's teaching, whatever he taught, he had that skills to bring the point, simple points at the very beginning. Just like the ocean get its depth when you go from the shore to the depth of the water, this Dhamma also has that lens of deepening its point. Buddha started saying that if one violate moral principles from body, words, and action, mind, that is the main reason for being to reborn in unhappy places. There Buddha elaborated the misconduct by body, words, speech, and mind in number of ways. We can discuss that in later. And also, when we talk about the positive side, in which people find good rebirth, Buddha talks about good, wholesome mental, physical, and verbal actions. So that is the Venerable Sir, the main factor of this sutta. And at the end of the discourse, we find very interesting fact. That is, if one has moral conduct in their life, or in other words, if one is morally good, they have some powers, they have some abilities. Their words and their actions, their thinking becomes a force for them to decide where they want to go. That is the interesting thing. If you have good qualities in your life, you can have some powers to decide about your future. So there Buddha elaborated in this way that if you want to reborn in a happy family in the next life, you can decide it and cultivate some wholesome things, wishing, expecting that good rebirth. And if you want to be a divine being, just have that thought in mind, but you have to do good things for that. It's just like you have a determination to be like that, and then you have to work according to it. And Buddha talks about if you want to be in Brahma realm, which is the highest divine state in the line, you would attain jhana. And if you want, finally, Buddha concluded with the interesting fact that if you want to attain nirvana, that is also possible. Wish your wish, but not only with the wish, but you have to work on that. So that is how the Buddha ended the discourse, Salayika Sutta. I think this sutta unfolds many interesting questions and concern by monks and also listeners. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante Jinananda. You have actually beautifully given the summary of this sutta, Salayika Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya. And this, again, a kind reminder to all our friends, Dhamma friends who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube Live. If you have any questions regarding today's discussion about, today's discussion topic, please feel free to make a comment in Facebook or YouTube. We will take your questions as well. So, Bhante Jinananda, of course, there are 4 words that I think we have to highlight here in this discussion, Pali words. Now, is those Brahmins, and of course, knew Buddha was enlightened, and they thought, okay, we want to learn from this enlightened being the causes and conditions which lead the human beings to have rebirth in a particular plane of existence. And Buddha highlighted 4 words, 2 words for the unhappy destinations, unhappy rebirths, and the 2 words for the happy rebirths. So the unhappy rebirths, what causes that? So there are two words, the adhammacharya and visamacharya. Okay, I think we need to understand these two. We have to discuss this. And for the happy rebirths, again, 2 words, dhammacharya and samacharya. So I'm just bringing this to your attention, to everyone's attention. And Bhante Kusala, you raised your hand. You have very interesting points to present. Bhante Kusala.
Well, Bhante, I think you kind of touched up on that about in the very beginning of the sutra. We find in Salayika Sutra, we find that the Brahmins of Sala did their research before seeing the Buddha in a way that, it's not just the Brahmins, also the householders. They had heard about the Buddha, and there was this reputation about the Buddha. So they had so much confidence in him. So I think they kind of framed the question accordingly. They would not just go and ask this question from any teacher. They knew that this was the right teacher to ask this question from, and that they will get a detailed answer. And I think, like Bhante Jinananda mentioned, this is a lengthy sutra, but for right reasons, that they needed that kind of a lengthy answer from the Buddha. So in the very beginning, I think we can't ignore that part, that these may have been some learned Brahmins as well, some who really showed interest in the teachings. And when they approach the Buddha, what they say at the end of talking about the qualities of the Buddha is that it is good to see such a perfected one, you know. So good to see such a perfected teacher. You see that confidence they had in getting a detailed response.
So they have acknowledged him as is a super powerful,
Yeah,
enlightened being,
absolutely.
and also they believed in this thing called rebirth or reincarnation or punabhava, as we say, right?
Great
And
point.
so they thought, okay, since Buddha is here in our town, let's go to him and let's learn from him what, like, if we are looking for the happy rebirths, and
Right.
what do we need to know?
So this is the thing about, you know, the when they approach the Buddha, they know that the Buddha teaches the Dhamma that is pure in the beginning, pure in the middle, pure in the end. When people approach us, we also have this frame in mind that we need to bring them to good conduct and then teach them about cultivation of their minds and then developing wisdom. So this is also expected of monks when people approach us. And they do bring these questions to us, don't they? They bring, you know, questions like, you know, my mom died. What happened to her? You know, where is she now? Am I going to see her in when I die? So these questions are quite common. They always want to know where these people are. But here we don't get a direct answer about a particular person because they are not focusing on one particular person. They are just talking about people in general, looking perhaps at the society as they had this understanding that some people are born poor, some people are born wealthy, some people are born attractive, and you know, and what is the reason for this? So I'm just still here dwelling in the beginning part of the sutra, just adding a little bit to what Bhante Jinanand already presented.
So
But
that's why.
but
Bhante,
another interesting thing is that how people, greeted the Buddha. There is a whole passage in the sutta that some people talked to the Buddha and sat down at one side, and some people, just share one or two words and didn't worship like with two hands and sat down. Some people even did not recognize the importance of the Buddha, but they came to the, talk and sat down. So we can see that in that village and in many where Buddha, in many places Buddha visited, some people were with Shraddha about the Buddha and Dhamma and Sangha. Some people came to the assembly just because their friends go. So even many people came to know about the Buddha, that he is enlightened, and the Dhamma he explained is excellent in many ways, and the Sangha of bhikkhus are perfect. They were curious about what he's going to say. Right. So we can see that different type of attitude of people in the village Sala about the Buddha. It is common because some people perhaps listen to the Buddha for the first time, and they would curious about what kind of explanation he could give us, so that we cannot expect that everybody in the village were followers of the Buddha or respected the Buddha in high regard.
So now the Buddha's answer, okay, I think this is what we need to now focus on. Now, adhammacharya, visamacharya, and then dhammacharya, samacharya. So these are the actions that determine what type of rebirth you're going to have after your death. And of course, we all know that one day we all are going to say goodbye. There's no doubt about it. No matter where we live, who we are, how powerful we are, how learned we are. But one day we all have to say goodbye to one another. And then we are also concerned, when we die, where are we going to? And are we going to come back to this planet as human beings? Or are we going to have rebirth in the heavenly worlds? Or are we going to have rebirth in the lower realms? Maybe you know how people talk about the hell. I think nobody wants to go to hell. We understand hell is the symbol of this pain, suffering. So then, if people don't want to go to the hell, if people want to come back to the human world as human beings, or if people want to have a rebirth in the heavenly world or in the Brahma world, then what should we do? Having just the belief is enough, or just having the faith in particular thing is enough, or is that our own actions in this lifetime that determine the rebirth in various planes of existence? Of course, in Buddhist in Buddhist cosmology, we all know that. We talked about 31 planes of existence. And so then what actions determine to have rebirth in these planes of existence? Do you have anything to add? Bante Pevaratana.
Yes, Bante. I think this sutta is quite clear, how, our conduct decides what kind of plane that we are going to be born. But I think this sutta is giving a very interesting explanation that once you live a Dhammic life, a righteous life, and you almost like, you can decide where you want to go, right? Yeah. That is how, this sutta is explaining. If you really conduct your bodily actions in a way that you don't harm anyone with your body, you don't disturb others and you don't hurt others, but you keep helping others. And then as long as you don't hurt others with your speech, but only use your speech to help others. And also importantly, if you cultivate your remove your ill will and instead develop loving kindness, and if you reduce some kind of extreme form of desire, and also if you establish yourself in the right view, right understanding, and then you almost, Buddha said that once you have such a Dhammic life, if you wish, I think the word used in this sutta is akankeya or akankati. If you wish, if you desire, you can decide, okay, I would like to be born as a human being. I would like to be born as a divine being, and then you almost can kind of choose, so to speak. But I think, but for this kind of ability, to have a choice to, to decide where we want to be born, I think we have to have very, very strong practice, and also because it's not that easy, people, simply because we do good deeds doesn't mean that we all have that choice, because we need to have very strong mindfulness, because most of us will lose our mindfulness at the moment of our death, because if you don't have good training, and also like willing to let go of our whole identity. And people get confused and and meet with all kind of challenges at the moment of death. I think Bante Kusala may have some experiences when he was maybe helping dying patients, and maybe I don't know, Bante Sunita is here today, but so it's not easy. But I think what Buddha is giving us an assurance, if you live a righteous life, and not only simply verbal and physical, but we also have to pay attention to the mental part here, that we remove our avijja, our extreme form of desire, and also ill will, and also establish ourselves in right view. Then we can we can kind of choose. But I think what is really happening here, Bhante, our consciousness is kind of always shaping. Our consciousness is shaped. Our consciousness is conditioned by sankhara, which is karma, which are also all kind of conditionings and habits. And so, based on our sankhara, our conditioning, our consciousness will have different shapes. Even right now, we may be in our human form. That could be our prominent consciousness. But once in a while, we may also have, depending on what kind of sankhara, what kind of mental habits, what kind of conditionings that we are developing, our consciousness can change even right here. So it's based on what kind of conditionings, what kind of preoccupations that we have in our mind, and then that also involves the karma, what kind of karma that we're always doing, and that karma, that conditionings, that preoccupations in our mind will decide the nature of consciousness even right now when we are living here. So what's going to happen after the death is that what kind of consciousness that we have fashioned in our life, what kind of are we conditioning a human kind of consciousness, or are we conditioning a Brahma type of consciousness? And we know that by practicing loving kindness meditation and other 4 divine abodes, Brahma Viharas, we are conditioning the Brahma kind of mind. So it's actually what kind of conditionings that we are doing to our consciousness will decide where we will be born. So all the wholesome actions that Buddha mentioned is kind of conditioning our mind to be in a happy realm. So what is happening after death is not a kind of accident. It's actually how we have fashioned, how we have trained our consciousness. It will continue. It will find an appropriate place to express itself. If we grow our hatred, our anger all the time, and that becomes our dominant power in our mind, and then after the death, our consciousness will find a place where we can express that dominant quality, which is in a lower realm. Yeah. So it's a gradual changing of our consciousness.
And I think Bhante Premaratana, you brought some interesting point for further discussion as you're talking about the consciousness or conditioning. It reminds me of like you even use the word sankhara, right? And formation. So there are 3 sankharas: punyabhi sankhara, apunyabhi sankhara, ananjabhi sankhara, right? So it's like a sankhara is a kind of magnet, I think, right? It's conscious a magnet. If you develop or if your magnet of unwholesome things are powerful, and then unwholesome energy is going to be attracted to that. Yeah. It's going to pull you towards that, or pull in or pull out towards that direction. Yeah. And if you have punya, like good deeds and a good wholesome energies, then it's going to do the same. And then Ananjabi Sankara, I think that is those jhana.
That is jhanic kind of training, and that will be attracted to the Brahma world.
Yeah. So and I think we are still talk about those the actions are decided, like adhammacharya, visamacharya, adhammic conduct and the bad conduct, right? Not uneven conduct, so like literally. And now those are the 10 unwholesome actions, right? Dasa akusala kamma. I think the Salika Sutta is Buddha is describing this adhamma and visama conducts. Like 3 adhammic conducts are hurt or taking life, stealing, and sexual misconduct. And the 4 adhammic conducts are lying, abusive speech, malicious speech, and gossip. And the 3 mental adhammic conducts are covetousness, a strong desire for the belongings of other people, to wish those things be mine, and then the anger and the wrong views. right? So these are the actions, the 10 physical, verbal, mental, unwholesome actions, deeds, determine where we are heading to, right? After our death. And then those, the Dhamma conduct, and then the right conduct, Dhammacharya and the Samacharya, these are the abandoning those 10 unwholesome deeds, actions. So
Maybe
then,
doing the opposite things, right? So instead of killing, we can save life and protect lives.
yeah, and
instead of stealing, we can give and donate.
Yeah, and then instead of sexual misconduct, you can respect the relationship.
Yeah.
Instead of lying, then you can tell the truth, speak the truth. Instead of a malicious speech dividing people, you can unite people. Instead of using abusive words, you can use the gentle, soft words. Instead of gossip, you can, like even at this moment, I think there are so many people who are interested in gossips, searching in, looking into others' profiles, reading the pictures, but there are only a handful of people actually who are interested in non-gossip Dhamma discussion. And then instead of covetousness, then you practice the generosity more. And then instead of anger, then you practice goodwill, the loving kindness. Instead of wrong view, then it's the right view. So Bante Kamalasuri from Minnesota, USA, raised his hand. Bante Kamalasuri.
Yes. Thank you so much. Actually, I don't want to talk too long. Just I want to add something about Visamacharya.
Yeah.
This word. This word we can translate into like different activities, different characteristics, like that way. Then in English also, especially in psychology, there is a term, different mentality. I think if we can talk together, this different mentality and Visamacharya, it would be make broad idea about this concept here. That is the thing I wanted to add. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Bante Kamalasuri. That's an interesting point, in a different mentality. Even right now, I think now are we in the same mentality or are we in a different mentality?
That is because the grammatically it is the both words are same meaning comes from and structurally also it is same.
Yeah, Bante Kusala.
Well, Bante, so I'm connecting with what all these Bantes have mentioned. Once I heard, Bante Pemaratana mentioned about consciousness, the minds of people, and Bante Kamalasiri mentioned about Visamacharya. So I was trying to kind of dig into the mentality of someone who does sexual misconduct. Suppose he's married and he's having extramarital affairs, and imagine what his mindset is like, the vibrations he's living with, the energy he's putting out at home or at his workplace, or when he's driving or with his children. His attention is usually divided, and he does not seem to live in a peaceful state of mind. And it looks like upon death, he's taking what he invested on with him, and that mentality creates his own hell, because he has been living in his mind as if he were living in hell, as he was alive as a human being, giving pain to his own wife, pain to his own children. Sometimes children also get the social blame. These are children of that womanizer kind of social blame. They are ashamed of their own father, so they don't know how to connect with him or love him. as their own fathers. So, and the society normally has this CCTV effect. They are watching what you're doing, so they know, although they may not talk about it in the open on your face, but they know that you are an immoral person. So there is this guilt in you. These are the bad vibrations, bad conscious moments that has the effect of unpleasant feelings in you. These unpleasant feelings, sometimes you may feel them like burning feelings in your head. You can't sleep, they may even spend money on buying the most expensive mattress, but it is not in the mattress. The sleep is when you have a good, clear conscience. They say the clear conscience is like a soft pillow. You don't need when you have your clear conscience, your Harda Shakshya is when it is very clean, when it very pure. You get good sleep and you give undivided attention and you are fully present, and it shows through your actions that you are a moral person, and that person is creating his own heaven right here in his own mind, and he's taking that with him when he says goodbye. So that's how I connect with Visamacharya, immoral conduct, and Dhammacharya, the righteous conduct.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Bhante Kusala. Thank you for bringing that up. And maybe other venerables would be adding more into this. So we have actually a few hands raised by Venerable Mansunans. And Venerable Jo Chen from Singapore, you raised your hand. I'm pretty sure you have something to share with us. And also, Venerable Jo Chen, in addition to what you're going to share with us, our viewers, I would like to put a question from the audience in Facebook. There's a friend who's watching us, Christine Kutkowski. She's asking a question, how does one get to the Pure Land? But maybe after sharing your point of view, you can answer this question as well.
Thank you, Bhante. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I would like to talk about the Pure Land.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, because I'd like to share something about in the Mahayana traditions, emphasize to the devotees a lot about after the rebirth, we make vows to go to the Pure Land, the Amitabha Pure Land. I'm not so sure about the Theravada traditions about the Pure Land, but in Mahayana, this part is quite a important part, and it gives confidence to the devotees that if you have faith, you chant the Amitabha's name, you focus well, then you might have this chance to follow the Amitabha and to the Pure Land. But the key point is that in this practice, it's not just doing the chanting. It's more on the focusing, the contemplation. And also, just now Bhante mentioned about the consciousness. It's more on the consciousness as well. When we focus our mind, really focus in and no other doubts, then we are able to follow the path to the Pure Land. But this is just a simple explanation. So in a way, it's a skillful means whereby gives the lay members the confidence that after death, there is still a way whereby you can follow this path and continue your cultivation. But of course, I have another topic to talk about, which the Bhante also mentioned, is that the actions.
Yeah.
The actions, because actions plays a very important part. Even we chant a lot of the Amitabha's name, but if we have a lot of unwholesome actions, evil actions, evil thoughts, this is something which is also not possible to go to the Pure Land. So actions plays a part which leads to karma. Whatever we do, there's always a result. So they mentioned about the energy of the karma, because if we do good things, our mind, in a way, are more or less in a peace and not so much fear. So the time when we meet the going to say goodbye to this world, the mind in a way is not so burdened with a lot of worries and a lot of fears. But if we did a lot of bad deeds, then before we face with where we should go, actually we are facing with the fear. We worry that, well, we have been doing so many bad things when I'm still alive, and now I'm going to die. And I'm going to die, what will happen next? All religions mention something is that if you do bad deeds, you will have bad consequences. So this is something our mind that if I really did a lot of bad deeds, then something will happen to me. And this energy actually,
I think we lost her. There's a problem with the internet connection in that end. So let us continue with our discussion. I think Venerable Jochen will continue when she comes back. Bhante Jinananda from Ottawa, Canada, raised his hand.
Yes, Bhante, I will stop when Venerable Bhikkhuni comes back. I think she's back.
Okay, Venerable Jochen, you're back.
sorry, I
continue.
don't know why.
Okay,
Yeah,
continue.
I'm sorry, I'm back. Yeah, so what I would like to share is that the faith, the actions, and also the energy. And this energy actually, we call it the karma, pull us to the directions that comes with our fear of mind or our calm of mind. So again, the mind plays an important part, but also karma plays an important part too. Okay, so that's all I would like to share with everyone.
Yeah, I hope Christine, our friend watching live on Facebook, got this, got the answer to her questions. So now we know how to get to Pure Land. You need faith, you need energy, right? You need to have all the good actions. All right, so Bhante Jinananda from Ottawa.
Yes, Bhante, I was going to say that this sutta, as Venerable Premaratana pointed out, is giving the full responsibility for people to decide where we go. The Buddha was so famous in the whole subcontinent, and he did not. This is a clear indication that Buddha did not play his authority on people, and he explained the Dhamma very well, that it is your responsibility for you to decide where you go. It's kind of mapping our mind, conditioning our mind of what we need to be. In one places in the Tripitaka, Buddha said that why people do not do good, and why people do good, because of the faith about themselves, because of the love, because of the compassion they have. So this shows to me that if people have trust on them of what they do based on karma, they can decide where they should go. If they want to reborn in happy places or after death, they can work on that. That is really interesting. So the very interesting part is that that we have the responsibility to decide of what we do and what we should be do. When Venerable Kusala mentioned about misconduct by a person, maybe one time or two times, people worry about that they did. I would like to bring the attention of all monks and listeners about one particular interesting discourse. The message is very clear. Suppose we live peacefully up to the level, up to the samacharya and dhammacharya, which means we do not do any bad things by body, by speech and actions. Sometime, due to negligence, we do a violation of these conditions, these principles. But Buddha said that if you do a bad thing one time, two times, due to negligence, due to in strong power of greed, hatred, and ignorance, even with intention, these people may not go to reborn in unhappy places, because their good qualities are much more than bad qualities. If we bring the attention of all of you to the Lonapala Sutta, so if a person has Dhammacharya and Samacharya, perhaps he does bad thing couple of times, but he's like the whole pond. And if you put a couple of salt into the pond, the water of the pond doesn't make salty, because the volume of the water is much more than a kind of glass of water or bottle of water. And if you put salt into a glass, the water becomes salty. So if you really violate all these moral principles as a habit, there is a great chance of reborn in unhappy places. But if you do good things all the time, and time to time you violate principles, don't worry that you that about the bad, unwholesome birth. You may not be able to go there, because the karma is working in such a way that much of the good things you do will be helping you to reborn in happy places. So again, because some people ask me the questions related to this many times, that Bhante, we had done this and we haven't practiced this for long. So are we going to reborn in unhappy places? But believe on the karma, believe on the good things you do. And if you have done a lot of good things, depending on your karma, you will be in a happy place, definitely. This is what actually Lonapala Sutta hinted us, for us to make our journey forward with positive thinking, even if we have done something wrong.
And I think, thank you, Bhante Jinananda, for bringing this to our attention. Now, Bhante Vangsananda from Seattle raised his hand, but this reminds me of Bhante Vangsananda was staying with us here at our temple. And I remember Bhante Vangsananda, we were having tea in the kitchen, and suddenly you showed me something, like you poured some kind of juice or water in a big cup, and then you had the water tap open. Now the water was falling into that jug. Then after 5-10 minutes, all the juice were gone, and it contained only the pure water. So then we had a good discussion about that. And Bhante Vangsananda, you raised your hand. Since maybe you can expand on that, maybe in addition to what you were going to say.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for your call, and I respect all the monks and nuns. And
I see you're not clear enough, Bhante Vangsananda.
oh, okay, I'm so sorry.
Okay, can you speak now?
Now is it clear?
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Bhante, again, and I respect all the monks and nuns. And most of the things, I think the Venerable already mentioned, and especially what Bhante Saranapala mentioned about that juice. That's what the Bhante Jidhananda explained earlier about the Lonapala Sutta. It is the similar situation. It is nice things to discuss here, and I wanted to add two things here. And when we go to the Dhammapada, we see the first two verses, and Manopubbangama Dhamma, Manosetta, Manomaya. That's two verses explain the summary of this Salayaka Sutta. We can understand when we think about it, if someone speaks or acts with evil mind, then the suffering follows. And at the same way, opposite way, if someone does with the good intention, good speak and good work, then good karma brings happiness and happy place. That's the, I think the summary is there. And another thing is what monks mentioned earlier. If someone wants to have a happy place after this life, we want to constant practice what Buddha mentioned. If it is not, we cannot expect such the profits or fruits. That's the in the explaining about the karma, there is a word achinna karma. Constant practice. Because it is very important, mindful death. The chuti chitta, the final thoughts is very important. Final thoughts brings with that constant practice. What you do bodily or verbally or mentally, all the actions create some process with this life. And when life about to end, all the actions in three ways come forward, and it will help you to choose the good place. I think that's what. And again, another thing is the what Bhante Jinananda mentioned. Even though you did something wrong in the past, you don't need to worry about that. You just need to think about this moment. This moment is very important. And earlier, Bhante Premaratana mentioned that the Brahma in the meditation practice, when we think about the sublime, four sublime states, the metta, karuna, mudita, upekka. Actually, when we think about the panchasila, when someone wants to practice perfectly panchasila or virtuous activities, they have to follow those sublime states. If someone is not practice enough loving kindness, how he or she continue practicing panatipata? I do not kill anyone. I do not harm anyone. Because it is interrelated, those factors. We have to think about that. And if it is so, what Buddha mentioned in this Salihika Sutta, all are interconnected. That's what I wanted to add here. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante Vansananda. You brought another great insight into this discussion, and I think it's very enlightening, like how you all are making a great contribution, bringing all the Dhamma insights and adding this discussion very beautiful and meaningful. And this reminds me, like, how Bhante Kamalasri from Minnesota said, Visamacharya, different mentality, or different behavior, different mentality. Now this reminds me of this another sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, Kukuravatika Sutta, the two ascetics, like how they were concerned. In the name of like this dog duty ascetic and the ox duty ascetic, believed in the behavior of dog or behavior of ox, and so they did so. They behaved like that, did everything like dog and ox in the name of liberation, moksha. But at the in the last maybe they realized they would be saying goodbye to one another. They were concerned about they are on vimoksha or moksha, liberation. They were not concerned whether they have become enlightened or not. So they went to see the Buddha, right? And then it's a long story, but if I tell the long story, we won't be having enough time to discuss about these points. But what I want to highlight is there, like if someone behaves like a dog or has the dog habit or has a dog attitude or the dog mind, what are you going to expect? You're going to have a rebirth as a dog. And same thing with the ox. So now, Bhante Pevaratana, do you have anything else to, maybe you can shed more lights with respect to this?
Thank you, Bhante. Yeah, it's related to what you just described and also what Bhante Vansananda just described.
Yeah.
When we talk about what will happen to us after death, we should really remember one important discourse, another discourse given by the Buddha. It's called Mahanama Sutta. There are a few Mahanama Sutras, but there's one sutta where where the Mahanama, one of the Buddha's relatives actually, he asked a very important question. Where Buddha was living in Kapilavastu, according to this discourse, he said that Kapilavastu is a very busy city. It's a very rich and busy city, and he had a concern. He said that whenever I come to see you, and this city is very busy, and there are so many vehicles, and carts and elephants, and people are always moving around. And what if whenever I was coming to see you, maybe when I was going away from you, if I happen to be hit by a runaway elephant or a runaway cart or runaway bull, what's going to happen to me? He said that my mind will be confused if I suddenly happen to die due to an accident, and what's going to happen to me? So he asked this question, because he was concerned about runaway elephants and runaway carts and bulls in the Kapilavastu city. I think we have to be very, very afraid in that case. We have runaway trucks and runaway vehicles these days, right? So
Oh,
I love that.
he ran away from us.
if I happen to met with an accident and die suddenly, and then Buddha said, "Have no fear." That's the praise Buddha. Have no fear. I think our Venerable Bhikkhuni also emphasized that fear is the one that really disturbs us. Buddha said, "Have no fear." Buddha said that if you have 4 qualities, and you will definitely have a good rebirth, and even you will even incline to become enlightened. And the Buddha asked a counter question. Think about a tree that is leaning towards the east. A tree that is leaning towards the east. If someone happened to cut that tree, cut the root of that tree, where that tree will fall down? And then the answer was that wherever that tree was leaning to that direction, the tree will fall down. So Buddha said that in the same way, if we have unwavering confidence in the Buddha's enlightenment, his great virtues, and if we have unwavering confidence in the teachings of the Buddha, that these teachings are truthful and they're helping us, and if we have unwavering confidence in the Sangha, the disciples of the Buddha, other enlightened disciples of the Buddha, and if we have a very clear, pure moral conduct, I think Salayaka Sutta is mentioned about moral conduct. So moral conduct and faith, I think even Bhikkhuni mentioned about the faith or the confidence. So if we have both faith or confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and have a pure moral conduct, have no fear. Have no fear, no matter whether you die due to an accident or any other reason, definitely you are destined to a wholesome direction, and not only towards to be born in a happy realm, but even actually eventually towards the enlightenment or Nibbana.
So my question, Bhante Pevaratana, is now of course there are people, ordinary people, they have this tendency to do something negative, something bad. I think due to lobha, dosa, moha, greed, anger, and ignorance. Now, let's say an action is done, and then there are people. These people really feel guilty. And along with guilty feeling, there comes this fear, and fear, guilt, these two really make them miserable. Now, how do we remove this fear and guilt?
Yeah, I think it's a very important question, Bante. It's important to have a recognition, or we call repentance of our wrongdoing. But having guilt is not considered a good, wholesome quality in Buddhism. So we had to distinguish between what you call, bhaya, or maybe what we call recognition of our wrongdoing and repenting about it. And it's quite different from having a guilt. And Buddha said the remorse, or what we call kukucha, is a hindrance. So Buddha did not encourage us to keep on thinking about our wrongdoing. He did not encourage that. Just simply keep thinking about our wrongdoings and worrying about it's not going to help us. It's going to simply, make our mind again imbalanced. So what the Buddha is saying that once we happen to have done a wrongdoing, we should acknowledge it. And then we still have, karma is not done yet. The karma is not over. There are so many other opportunities that we can do counteract. Let's say if we happen to have cheated someone, and then we can do all the counteraction. You acknowledge your wrongdoing, and you can keep, doing truthful speech. And if you happen to maybe kill a living being, you acknowledge it, you repent about it, you feel sorry for that, and then you keep saving lives. If you happen to kill one life, save 10 lives.
Is that the main reason that how in Sri Lanka, let's say in Sri Lanka, people release the cows destined to be killed, and in Bangladesh and also Indonesia, Malaysia, they release the fish, turtles destined to be killed.
Yeah, yes, Bante. It's like doing counteractive good karma. So when you do counteractive good karma, and we can really kind of, diminish the power of the bad karma. And that's the whole idea of Lonapala Sutta also, right? But Bante, sometimes the way we release those animals are not really helping those animals. Sometimes we bring animals from one country and then release them in a different country. And sometimes those habitat may not be useful, best for them. So we have to be very careful too.
Yeah. So Bhante Jinananda from Ottawa.
Yes, I just want to say something what Venerable Premaratna said at last. In one of the beautiful stanza in Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "Yankinchi sitilang kammang kusalena pitiyati," right? If we have done a lot of good things, we can cover those bad things we did unmindfully and bring the whole good things forward. So if we haven't done very bad karma like killing your own mother, father, and making system between good people, and of course they are called anantari papa karma, you do not want to worry about past bad karma, because you can do a lot of good things right now in order to push you forward to the whatever called pure land or nirvana, whatever it is. So we can have that potential in us. That's why Buddha said that everyone has a chance. Even the culprit who has who has been marginalized for various things, he or she also has something to do in their own happiness and good. So that is very interesting, because we have that responsibility in us to do good thing. Whether you are a monk or a lay person, don't worry about the past. Just live right now and do good things right now. This also emphasizes samacharya, dhammacharya, the middle path. In one of the explanation by Bhikkhu Dhanisaro, he said that samacharya would be quite close to the Majjhima Patipada, Dhammacharya, because when you do good things by 10 ways here, you are practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, which emphasize everything these monks and nuns said. So I think it is a silver line for us to, this sutta doesn't talk about Paticca the Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Path by their names. But this sutta emphasizes all these factors in a simple term for especially busy people like lay people to get into the Dhamma. I think this kind of sutta is releasing us from some burdens on bad things we intentionally or unintentionally did in the past and making us forward into Dhamma. Thank you.
Okay, so we have two more hands raised. So I would like to give the priority to those Venerable Monk and Nun to present their ideas. But at the same time, I also like to take two questions from YouTube who are watching us live. I will take their questions, but first, Venerable Joy Chen, you raised your hand. Venerable Joy Chen from Singapore.
Yes, hi, Bante.
Yeah.
Just now we discussed about the talk about the if a person did very bad deeds and then they worry or something. It reminds me of a case whereby I was in Toronto, and the person is almost is in the hospital going to die, but this person's mentioned something because she was involved in the Chinese Revolution in China. So in a way is that she did admit into serious crimes, and she mentioned something is that I don't have time to do good deeds already because I'm going to die. And then she mentioned something is that I will repent, but if I repent with my heart, I repent, but I still have to bear with the bad karma. This is something that's always have in my mind is that the person that committed into very serious crime, and she really have fear, and she know that she doesn't have enough time to do good deeds in this life already. And she knows that she needs to repent, and hopefully that she won't go to the hell realm, which in a way is that she has a great fear. So Bhante mentioned something which is very important, which I mentioned to her too. I say that in Buddhism, there's the Buddha taught us the truth. One of the truth is impermanence. And this impermanence, things from good can be bad, depends on our action. The same thing is that things can be bad, become good, again, because of our action, and most important, our mind. There's nothing that is too late. The only thing that is too late is that we are unreluctant to repent. We are unreluctant to change. But if we are willing to change our mind to have different mentality, mindset, even now is the last day of our life, we still have next life. So that's the beauty in Buddhism, is that we believe in life after life. And also we believe that we will be able to change, starting from the change of our mindset from now. And then after that, follow with actions. And then also continue with the good consciousness, good mindset. There's always hope in Buddhism, regardless of how many lives we rebirth. And this is something that I would like to share.
Yeah, so thank you. And it's also, I think we have to understand the fact in Buddhism, we understand no plane of existence is permanent. It's not an eternal one. Although you're going to go to hell, you're not going to be there in the hell for good. Once your bad karma is over, you're going to come back to human realm, or you're going to go back to the divine realm or Brahma world or something like that. Even same thing with it. When you go to divine world, you're not going to be there for good. It's not eternal one. So what is eternal one is a nirvana, which is the release from the cycle of life. So Bhante Vangsananda, you raised your hand.
Yes, thank you, Bhante. Again, I think you don't hear, right?
Yeah.
So the main thing is, just I wanted to add that here in the Salayika Sutta, we see the important point is that the Sammadhi, the right view is very important point for all factors.
think you are not clear now. Again, I don't know what happened.
Hello?
Now we can hear
Okay.
you.
So when we think about the whole practice of the Salayaka Sutta, being Sammadittika, having right view, is very important. If someone doesn't have right view, right, then he or she cannot follow the virtuous activities,
Mhm.
and at the same time they do not understand the life well, and they don't believe there is a situation after this life, how the samsaric life is going on. They don't understand because of they don't have the right view. The right view is important fact. According to this sutta, it's explained there are the tenfold mundane right views, being sammadittika. So these are very important. Atti dinnang, atti ittang, atti utang, atti sukata dukkatanang, pammanam palam vipako. These are there is meaning in living, sacrifice and offering. There are fruits and results of good and bad deeds. There is an afterlife. So there is obligation to mother and father. So there are being born spontaneously, and there are ascetics and Brahmins who are well attained and practiced, who describe the afterlife after realizing it with their own insight. So these are kind of good understanding, good things to have as a right view. If they have those views, understanding, they can follow those actions and activities bodily, verbally, and mentally.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to add. This,
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Of course, Michya Ditti, right view, is very important. Without the right view, right perspective, these wholesome deeds cannot be done. So thank you, Bhante Vangsananda. Now, I would like to take two questions from the YouTube who are watching us live. This question is presented to all the venerable monks and nuns. Feel free to answer this question. The question is from Gita, who said, "Dear venerables, is there a way one can test oneself to ensure one is on the right path with right view, following the Noble Eightfold Path, if one is practicing with virtue, samadhi, and wisdom?" So how do we test ourselves whether we are practicing the right Noble Eightfold Path or not? I think Bhante Vangsananda put it first, right? Sammaditthi. Now,
I
how?
think, Bhante, since everybody is getting ready, may I say a word or two about this?
Yes, please.
Yes, so I think self-testing is the only test to check whether we are in the right Dhamma. So if your mind is peaceful and inclined into kind of freedom, that is one way to check, see whether you are doing right. And the simple criterion Buddha talks about to test whether we are on the Noble Eightfold Path, see whether what you are going to say is good for you and others. And if it is good for you and others, that is the thing you need to do. But don't do if it is only good for you. And don't do it, it brings you bad negative karma and good for others. So this is the simple criterion Buddha talks about. in deciding whether you are in the Noble Eightfold Path or not. I think that is one simple answer we could give. So that way you can test yourself whether you're on the Noble Eightfold Path.
What about you, Chan, from Singapore?
I think that is when the challenge comes to us, and then how we respond to it. So, for example, is that when we have challenge comes from another persons that criticize us, or saying gossip, or our family members really make us crazy. Your kids makes you crazy, your husband makes you crazy, your wife makes you crazy. And then how we respond to a challenge that we have to face at that point of time. The mind, what comes out from our mind, and from our mind, what will be the action? Will we get angry or something? So if we face with, if everything is okay, then there's always good. We practice the Eightfold Path. The only challenge is that when challenge comes to us, then we know that whether we are on the path or not. Okay.
Okay. Is there any other insights to add? Anyone? Okay. So our second question from YouTube, who are watching us live, is actually Bhavani said, question, Namaste. Do I have to encounter with the same people of this birth in the next rebirth also? What do you think? Are we going to meet the same people over and over again?
Most probably, Bhante.
How so?
Yeah, not necessarily all the one, but actually, because we develop attachment to each other. Like, so when you take rebirths, you'll be attracted to a mother, you'll be attracted to a family, that you have some form of attachment. Of course, it also determined by your karma, and even after our birth, when we meet people, if we have known them before, if we have met them, if we have been with them in previous lives, we may feel a special affinity, when we meet people. I think we have experienced that sometimes we only have, only meet a person once, but we still have very strong sense of, connection. So it's not necessary that we will meet everyone, in this life, but most probably when we meet those people again, our next life, we will feel a special connection, affinity. Most probably we will build another, relationship with them too. Not in the same way, but in a different ways, different relationships.
But I believe, Bhante Premaratana, that we all have met in our past life. Although we are living in different cities, different countries, we are coming through Zoom platform.
Exactly, Bhante. I mean, you were born in Bangladesh, but we are so, why you are so attracted to Sri Lanka? Like, or maybe we all born in Sri Lanka, but that we are so attracted to this country, right? And people. So there should be some, reason behind.
Yeah, I have been thinking about that. I was born in a small village in Bangladesh, and then became a monk at the age of 10. And then my teacher sent me to Sri Lanka. When I went to Sri Lanka, when I saw the temples, Buddha statues, stupas, I was so excited. I just said, this is my home. And also I believe that I also had been in Canada. That's why that past conditioning brought me into this country, Canada. So, and Bhante Vansananda.
Yes, Bhante, I wanted to just add for what Bhante Premaratana mentioned. So the karma can appear as maybe mother, father, son or daughter, or brother and sister, maybe husband, wife, or friends. In different ways, karma can follow you, and it could be good or bad.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
I said that's very interesting. Karma is our father. Karma is our mother. Karma is our brother. Karma is our sister. Karma is our wife. Karma is our husband. So we can take this, like that. So we have another question again from YouTube, who is watching us live. It's from Inoka. Dear Venerable, would someone can question that I can do all wrongdoing as long as I do good at the end of life to overcome bad things done?
I don't think so, because if you have an idea that I do all kind of bad things because I do good things later on, that becomes a misunderstanding about karma, which make you wrong way from, and it is not, there is no guarantee that you can take you to good side if the bad forces are so powerful. So don't come to conclusion that you can do all bad things and at some point I do good and come to overcome all things at the end of life. Because at the end of life, you will lose in the quality of life too, which you cannot think of well, which you cannot meditate, which you cannot say good friends. So we could not come to that kind of conclusion in my view, because one after the other, if you do bad things intentionally right now, the force and the residue of it could flow in your mind into next moment, and then you become a bad person. So if you happen to do bad things by mistake, what the Buddha said is that don't worry about it, just do good things right now. So if you do bad things with a plan, definitely you will go to a very unfortunate situation. And if you do good things with a plan, as all these venerable monks said, you will definitely be in good shape. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's like there is a beautiful stanza in the Dhammapada, except two of them. Attanancha piyangjanya nanang papena sangye. If you really love, if you think the life is very dear to you, pleasant to you, you should not fetter your life with bad things, ever. And also, attanancha piyangjanya rakhayana surakita. If you really love yourself, if you really care for yourself, your own well-being, your own happiness, then you should protect and guard yourself. Tinna manyan tarangtam patijagya pandit. It's a idiomatic expression. You should take care of you, protect you, guard you 24 hours around the clock. So by doing the good things. So I think time is up. So in conclusion, like what determines our rebirth in various planes of existence? And dear friends in Dhamma, in Buddhist cosmology, we talked about 31 planes of existence. It's the hell realm, human realm, divine realm, Brahma realm. So so what determines is our action. It's a Dhamma conduct, moral conduct. Dhamma conduct, moral conduct help us to have rebirth in the good realm, and the adhamma conduct and the immoral act determines our rebirth in the painful existence like hell or animal world, etc., etc. So, and also in the Kukravatika Sutta, as we learn, is our four things that determine where we are going to. It's our behavior, is a habit, is the attitude, and the mind. If we have hell behavior, hell habit, hell attitude, hell mind, we are going to go into hell. If we have human behavior, human habit, human attitude, human mind, we are going to have rebirth as human beings. If we have divine behavior, divine habit, divine attitude, divine mind, we are going to have rebirth in the divine world. And if we have the Brahma behavior, Brahma habit, Brahma attitude, Brahma mind, we are going to have rebirth in the Brahma world. And in this lifetime, if we have the Nirvana behavior, Nirvana habit, Nirvana mind, Nirvana attitude, and of course we are going to be in Nirvana. I think this is something that I wanted to say as conclusion. So I'm very grateful to all of you, venerable friends, monks and nuns, for making such a great contribution with today's Dhamma topic, what determines rebirth in the various planes of existence. And I see in the comments, all our friends who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube Live, they're very happy. They are saying their gratitude. They're saying thank you. They are expressing their respect to you. And this is something that we all wanted to be. So let us conclude today's discussion by reciting the Ovada Patimokkha Desana. And today we don't have anyone, but I would like to, I see last time it was Bante Pevaratana who recited that. And maybe today Bante Jinananda. Oh, no, Upartanayaka Haudru. Ovada Patimokkha Desana Bante. You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Venerable, and we all done very good effort, and we have to talk long way for more modernized discussion about karma. Anyway, thank you so much, and I appreciate your all effort. Really highly appreciate, and wishing you healthy, wealthy, and success, and with the power of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Sabba papassa akaranang kusalassa upasampada sacitta pariyodapanang etam buddhana sasanang Kanti paramantapoti tikka Nibbanam paramang vadanti buddha Nahi pabbajito parupagati Samanoti parang vihetayanto Anupavado anupagato patimokkhecha sangvaro mattanyutacha bhattasming pantancha sayanasanang adhicittecha ayogo Etam buddhana sasanang. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bante Uparatana Nayaka Hamadru, for beautifully reciting the Ovada Patimokkha Desana verses. And we always feel like we are hearing the same words from the Buddha. Thank you so much. And I'm very happy to tell all of you, today was our 20th bi-weekly sutra discussion. Like 20 times we have done it throughout this year. We feel very good about it. And thank you for your great contribution towards this discussion. And I'm very, very thankful to you, grateful to you. So we will see you once again in 2 weeks' time. Until then, I would like to wish you all the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha for your long life, good health, health and safety. May Devas, celestial beings, continue to protect and guard you with the divine blessings to continue this Dhamma service, Dhamma mission around the world. So good night and all blessed be with you. It was amazing. Thank you.